homily this morning is living spiritually, and the scripture is from Confucianism, Analects 2.4. The master said, "At 15, I set my heart upon learning. At 30, I had planted my feet upon firm ground. At 40, I no longer suffered from perplexities. At 50, I knew what were the bidings of heaven. At 60, I heard them with a docile ear. At 70, I could follow the dictate of my own heart, for what I desired no longer overstepped the boundaries of right." It would be nice if at a young age we could read scripture and go to services and just knew how to make good decisions and everything worked out. But unfortunately, life doesn't work that way. Our lives are a continuous journey of learning, experiencing, contemplating, making decisions, and then we have to move on to the next stage of our life. We see young people making the same mistakes we did. Oh, we wish we could teach them. We wish they didn't have to experience the same things we did. But in most matters, most people, we have to experience it for ourselves. We have to make those mistakes. The indecision, stress, the pain, they have to experience them themselves before they can really understand and live the teaching that they're up against that part of their life. Throughout life, we continue to learn new lessons. Spiritual matters need to be experienced in real time, in the hustle and bustle of life, for us to grasp them, the learning and the wisdom, and to integrate it into our way of thinking and acting. One way to help us contemplate and understand spiritual truths is the Hermetic principle of correspondence: as above, so below, as below, so above. This principle allows us to draw analogies between the laws and phenomena of the physical life and of our spiritual life. We know how much effort it takes to become competent in our professions. We work 40 hours a week for years, and there's always more to learn. There's always a changing set of factors, of regulations, different people coming in and out of the offices, numerous personalities we have to interact with. It takes constant effort to keep current in our professions, to be present in our personal relationships, our professional relationships. As above, so below. Your spiritual journey is much like your professional journey, but there's also a significant difference. A paycheck is required to take care of rent, groceries, transportation, and all your expenses. There's a lot of incentive, a daily reminder of how important a good, steady job is to the quality of life. It is easy to justify working whatever hours is necessary. Many times this can lead to ignoring other aspects of our lives. The paycheck is such an important part of keeping your physical life in order. The payback from our spiritual life is not always as evident as as punctual as our paycheck. When you're 22 years old, a paycheck is a tangible and immediate gratification. Every penny you get, you need. At 42, after 20 years of paychecks, you can start putting better perspective of your paycheck and your payback of your spiritual work. Our spiritual journey requires the same type of effort and dedication as our professional life, but the benefits accumulate slowly over time. We don't see them on the 15th and the 30th of each month. Both are important. Both require consistent effort. There are times your work will require many long days for an extended period of time. You have that big project and you eat and sleep it till it's over. There will be times you need to do the same thing with your spiritual work. You reap what you sow. There are so many diverse aspects of our spiritual lives. It can be complicated deciding where to direct your efforts. Self-confidence, self-image, peace of mind, joy, emotions, friendships, relationships with a significant other, loneliness, you know, they're all just a few of the issues that we are always in some stage of transition. And the goalposts keep moving. We think we have it figured out, and then the factors change. You are the only one who can decide where to put your spiritual attention at this point. Most people benefit from a weekly spiritual activity in a group setting. It might be a Sunday service or a meditation group, a book group, or a yoga class. The payback from a consistent spiritual practice is cumulative. There are times when an extended spiritual retreat might provide the private, reflective setting conducive to the work you're doing at that time. Being able to turn off the computer and the phone for 4 days is a luxury many people never have. And it really is a chance to contemplate the work you've been doing. Quoting from World Scripture, the comparative anthology of sacred texts, a project of the International Religious Foundation, a responsible life is not realized in a moment. Throughout a lifetime, effort must be invested continually for spiritual growth and self-development. A growing and fragile self, like any growing thing, requires cultivation. Good character is realized through constant cultivation of goodness. A mature person will have cultivated an attitude of sincerity, a pure heart, and a measure of self-control. Virtues which are required on the way include a proper start, heedfulness, and vigilance during the journey, and perseverance to reach your goal. Life as a process of growth is spiritual as well as physical and emotionally, from one stage to the next. Today's scripture arbitrarily assigned ages to milestones on our spiritual journey. The quote from World Scripture assigns spiritual milestones without reference to age. In reality, each of us has our own complicated matrix of the age we attain awareness or growth in different aspects of our lives. It is interesting that with age, our physical capabilities slowly decline. At the same time, with age, our spiritual abilities continue to evolve. Wisdom, patience, perspective, and many other gifts result from a life spent pursuing knowledge. Elizabeth Taylor said, "It's odd that the less time we have, the more patient we become." The later years of our lives can be our most restrictive physically, but our most productive spiritually. In our society, it's very easy and usually necessary to be very analytical and constantly thinking about what your next move is. It's easy to ignore our feelings, to not recognize or express our emotion. It's easy to allow our minds to continually go from one thought to the next, from one project to the next. In the book, Fingerprints of God by Barbara Haggerty, the author is discussing an idea of Aldous Huxley in his book, The Doors of Perception. Huxley proposed that the brain is a reducing valve. He suggested that all around us is what he called mind at large. This mind, Huxley ventured, comprises the everything all of reality. All ideas, all images, seen and unseen, everything in the universe. As metaphysicians, we call this infinite intelligence. An analogy to mind at large would be the internet. Each of us has access to that information, but an ordinary person or even an extraordinary person could not possibly process the flood of information available. And we know a lot of it's even wrong, so you wouldn't want to process it all. You've got to be selective. But because there's so much out there, the brain acts as a reducing valve. It narrows the information to a trickle, and usually to only that information necessary for survival. And so we ignore thoughts of the cosmos to focus on our immediate need or circumstance. We turn from the stirrings of transcendence to the email on the screen. We nudge aside insights about the universe in favor of dinner. Most of us live our lives on that level of everyday reality. Satisfied we are missing nothing. We feel we have everything covered. If the rent's paid and the car's running and the dog's, wagging his tail, things are all right. Our culture by necessity is very attuned to what could affect me right now. We wake up and turn on the news. What happened? What's the weather? Or is there traffic problems on my way to work? We get up and we just start processing. We can learn to refocus our attention. Through practice, we can learn to release habitual, non-productive patterns and direct our attention to positive, proactive thoughts and actions. A second mindful action we can learn is to allow our emotions to surface and observe them as a third party. We can learn to be a witness to our own emotions, the same way we can witness our thoughts. Our bodies hold emotional memories that have a subconscious effect on our state of mind and a direct effect on many of our habitual ways of being. Some of these emotions are pre-verbal. Quieting our mind, relaxing our bodies, and entertaining a meditative or contemplative state. We can learn to release and observe the feelings in our bodies. We can learn where we're creating stress, where we're holding it. When you have a broken heart, you can feel it in your chest. When you're frightened, your legs can get weak, your stomach queasy. And those memories stay with you long after it happened. So much of living spiritually is knowing yourself and understanding that. So when you feel that emotion coming back up, you can understand what it is, acknowledge it, but then redirect. Know that that's the past. It's not really what's happening now. All of our experiences are retained in our bodies. Our spiritual journey includes learning to know these things about ourselves, to learn to live in harmony with our past so it does not prevent our ability to live at peace with the present in all aspects of our lives. I believe the reducing valve, the mechanism of our brain mentioned earlier, naturally closes down our emotional memory of the past. The same way it blocks out things that aren't helpful to us in the exact moment, it's going to block out emotions that hurt us. We would not want to relive every emotional event in our lives all times. At the same time, if we don't address these emotional memories, we can fall into habitual emotional patterns, the same way we fall into habitual thinking patterns. I mean, I believe all of us as kids at some time with your friends or your siblings, wrap someone up in a blanket and held them down, wouldn't let them up. It's a joke you're doing, but you remember that. You remember that fear. How many times you playing in the pool and those things are in there. You have to let them out. At some point in life, it would be easy to accept that my life is just the way it is. There's not much I can do about my past, about my disappointments. I'll just exist with them. And many people do that. I've had friends tell me that gives me my care, it gives me my strength. When I need to do something, that gives me my strength to go through. On the other hand, let's assume that our souls are immortal. There is an afterlife. There is a heaven. If our souls are immortal, then this 80 years or so we have on earth is just a minuscule part of our soul's entire existence. It's just it's like a grain of sand. There are those who believe that there are unique lessons we learn in a physical body. We have physical needs for food and shelter, that our soul is not going to need in other environments. In a physical body, we have the unique gift of experiencing the physical senses of sight, smell, taste, hearing. We also have the ability to spiritually connect with the divine. This physical life is a real gift to where we can connect with the physical and all the pleasures of the earth, and we can connect with divinity. Your spiritual journey can bring you peace of mind, self-appreciation, fulfilling relationships with others, and many other gifts. It's up to you to decide how much time and effort you want to allocate to each of the many stages of your spiritual journey. Usually all of us know whatever is in your mind today, whatever's causing you stress today, that's the next thing to work on. Blessings.